Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the JRPG Weekly Update. Today is Monday, September 24th, 2018, and it's been a little while since we talked about some JRPG news, and I think it's time that we get into it. What do you guys think? So, I'd like to start off by talking about some news that's been happening over the last month since I last spoke with you guys. Unfortunately, it has been a little while. No, things aren't entirely finished, wrapped up with my moving company, but things are progressing. But you know what? Let's talk about some news. Starting with something that's maybe not exactly JRPG related, but it's somewhat related. So, Nintendo has announced a Nintendo Switch, a special edition that they're going to be putting out on November 16th, and it is for Let's Go Pokemon. Yeah, that's all right. It's not super exciting, but it is a special edition Nintendo Switch, and it is sort of an RPG. I don't know why I felt compelled to throw it in here, but I know that there's a lot of you out there who do care about Pokemon, who have been holding out for special edition Nintendo Switches, and this might be the one to grab your attention. But until then, Nintendo has also submitted a trademark for the Golden Sun series, or they've renewed the trademark for the Golden Sun series. And this has something that has got a lot of people pretty excited. It could be any number of things. It could be something as marvelous as reviving the Golden Sun series. Or it could be something as mundane as like a Smash Bros. Trophy. So, you know, let's keep our expectations in check, cautiously optimistic, and let's see what Nintendo does. And I would really love to be able to give you the news that there's something new in development, but as of yet, we've got to keep things in check. But Nintendo's not the only one making announcements about consoles here. Sony has actually announced a mini console, a PlayStation Classic, as it were. And now this console is going to come with 20 games preloaded onto it. They've announced 5, 2 of which have been RPGs, Final Fantasy VII and Wild Arms, which is great. I know that people like you and I, we could probably fill an entire 20 games list with nothing but RPGs, and there would still be some real great games left out. So no matter what Sony puts onto this console, you know, it won't probably be enough RPGs for the rest of us, but who knows, maybe this is going to be something that that you can go in and actually download more PlayStation Classics titles to it over the PlayStation Network. That would be pretty interesting, and that would also jive with my little pet theory, which is that Sony has finally found a marketable way to get rid of some of those PlayStation TVs they've been sitting on for a while, huh? The console is expected to launch for about $99, which is a bit higher than other Classics edition consoles that Nintendo put out. Nintendo put out the NES, which is like $50, and then Super Nintendo, which is like $75. Don't quote me on those numbers, but this is going to be $100, but it's going to take a little bit more processing power than what it takes to emulate a Super Nintendo. So I can kind of understand. Hopefully it will actually be like really good. Knock on wood. But, you know, we'll see what happens when we get it. And the last little bit of news that I unfortunately have to tell you guys is probably the most impactful and most saddest news. Nobuo Uematsu, the legendary composer behind several of my favorite games, and I'm sure several of yours, obviously worked a lot on the Final Fantasy series. He's actually having to take a break from work. He has cited health issues as a result, and it's going to be an indefinite break. Hopefully he'll get healthier. He says that this is something that he contracted years ago. He's got to take care of himself. Good for him. It is so great that he was able to provide us with so much beautiful music over the years. And honestly, if he never provides us another bit of music again, he'll have already done more for us than we can possibly thank him for. So that is sad, but I'm so happy to hear that he's taking care of himself, because that's what he should be doing. Now, with all of that major news out of the way, we have some new game announcements to get through, and oh my gosh, over the last month, I did not see this coming. There have been so many new games announced that I could not have possibly picked a worse time to step away from delivering the news every week. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and today I gotta get through a lot of new game announcements, starting with the confirmation that there is a new Ys game in development that is set to pick up after the events of Ys VIII. Very few details are known at this time. It was just kind of mentioned offhand. There's no trailer or anything, but you know, it's good to know that we will be getting a new Ys, especially on the heels of the success that was Ys VIII on the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4, which I guess on the PS4 was less of a success, but on the Switch it came out swinging, and the game's been a lot of fun despite some of the controversies around various glitches and localization issues. Moving on, Langrisser 1 and 2 are getting HD remakes on the Switch and PlayStation 4. They're coming out on February 7th in Japan. And I got no end of people talking to me about this, and I am so glad that these games are getting HD remakes. But guys, keep in mind that just because it's been announced in Japan does not necessarily mean we're getting it in the West. So I am staying cautiously hopeful that that we will be getting those here in the States, or here in English-speaking areas. But I don't know, guys. It's been a little while. They have not yet made an official announcement. You don't know until you know. So expectations in check. But hey, that's really cool that the series is getting some love again, right? Also, Squaresoft has announced Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered is coming to the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch in 2019. Why though? I mean, I haven't played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles in a long time, and when I did, I was playing it single player, which I think has probably severely impacted my my time with the game. But I personally do not remember the game fondly at all. Then again, that was like 15 years ago at least. And I know that there are some fans, and they're going to really appreciate the fact that you can play multiplayer online, which, yeah, that would make life a lot easier for people who don't have a whole lot of friends to just hang out with all the time. Online multiplayer, it could be better. Hopefully it will be better. But that's not the end of the announcements from Square Enix. Not by a long shot. This is a very active company, and they have a studio, Studio Istolia, which is notable for being run by Hideo Baba, the guy behind the Tales of franchises. We have a new trailer for their first project called Project Prelude Rune, which doesn't really show a whole lot, but what it does show is kind of pretty. It's enough to be optimistic and hopeful. They don't show any real gameplay. It's just some of the world that they've crafted so far, which is probably, very meticulously put together for this trailer. So cautious optimism is the word of the day. But that's not all, because around this time, The Last Remnant was taken off of Steam. But, and a lot of people were upset about this, but it's okay, because we're getting a 10th anniversary edition of Last Remnant on Steam as well. Also, from Square Enix, the world of Final Fantasy Maxima is coming to Nintendo Switch, which I think it's about time that came over, because it looks like it was made for it visually. And this is going to come with some extra features like the ability to turn into older Final Fantasy characters, including Cloud. And that's also not all from Square Enix, because during the Nintendo Direct, they also announced Final Fantasy VII and 9 and 10 and 10-2 and Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age and Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon are all headed to the Nintendo Switch in 2019. Oh, that is a lot of Final Fantasies heading to the Nintendo Switch. And the very obvious omission of Final Fantasy VIII from this list has caused fan speculation that maybe, just maybe, Squaresoft might have lost the source code to Final Fantasy VIII. Now also, during that Nintendo Direct, Game Freak of Pokemon fame has announced that Town is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch in 2019. Town is it sounds like kind of an experimental an experimental RPG that takes place entirely within a single town. Rather than going and exploring a world, rather something in your town has happened that's causing mysterious monsters to appear, and it's up to you to strategize and figure out how to defeat these guys, and using the resources available to you within just the town, which seems like a pretty cool concept. And I think that it might also have some connection to the development of the new 2019 Pokemon, which I'm guessing is going to be a little bit more open world. And I'm thinking that this is probably maybe even a result of some of the experimentation that they've been doing for the Pokemon game. And this could even be some insight into what kind of stuff they'll be doing in the 2019 Pokemon. Maybe not, but hey, it's cool to kind of think and speculate. And that's kind of all we really can do, because we don't really have a whole lot more information than that at this time. Also, during that amazing Nintendo Direct, we also got an announcement of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey is going to be coming to the 3DS on January 11th, 2019. So that's also really cool. Also, Diablo III is coming to Nintendo Switch on November 2nd. And then finally, Romancing Saga 3 is getting an HD remaster. Again, this has not been confirmed for coming to the United States, but based on the success of Romancing Saga 2 HD, I would not say that it's unlikely at this point that we'll be getting a localized version. And this should be especially exciting for fans of Octopath Traveler. Again, Octopath Traveler is a spiritual successor to Romancing Saga series, or just the Saga series. So definitely keep your eyes out for this, because if you're a diehard Octopath Traveler fan, and I think I can kind of count myself among those at this point, spoilers, upcoming review spoilers, then yeah, you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for this game, guys. Now, as for some release date updates and some localization updates, we have some news about Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. The game was delayed, unfortunately, and also the Vita version of the game is canceled. So that's a real bummer for fans of the PlayStation Vita, and that's kind of a bummer for everybody, because Bloodstained looks really cool when you're really looking forward to having something to play on your favorite console or handheld, and then that gets canceled. That's a bummer. So I feel for you guys. The Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition did get a release date. It is launching on January 11th, 2019 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, but the PC version will only be up for digital download only. No physical releases for PC, unfortunately. Now, as for upcoming releases for the week, we have two major releases, I guess. If you did not pick up South Park Stick of Truth for the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 or any of the other consoles, you can finally get your copy on Nintendo Switch if that's what you've been holding out for. Stick of Truth is a pretty well-received RPG featuring the characters from South Park and some pretty crass humor, so it's right up my alley, and this might be the version that I finally pick up. Now, as for everybody else who's just looking for brand new games that came out this week, you have Valkyria Chronicles 4, which is coming to Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC tomorrow. That is on September 25th. And, while I was away for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, they also did release a couple of just some under-the-radar games. You might not have heard of them. There's Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, which is basically Final Fantasy 15, just a bit of a demake. Gosh, it's still not turn-based, unfortunately. This would have been a prime opportunity for them to do that, but, well, whatever. What are you going to do? I can't complain about that. And then also, Square Enix has released Dragon Quest XI. I've been keeping myself under a bit of a rock here. I've not been watching anything about about Dragon Quest XI. I've not been seeing any reviews. I've been preparing myself for when I start playing through it. Unfortunately, I'm still playing through Octopath Traveler, and I'm really looking forward to digging into Dragon Quest XI. Anyways, guys, it has been a long while. Maybe the next one will be a little bit more smooth. Maybe the next JRPG weekly update will be a little more polished. I'll have a little bit better of a backdrop than this void that you see me in front of right now. But until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been your JRPG Weekly Update. I am SuperDerek, and this was news to me. I would like to send a huge thank you to The Abyss for allowing me to use his music in this video. He has a new album coming out at the end of October, and all the music featured in this video has come from that upcoming album. I will be giving away some download codes to his videos in the future, so stick around for details on that. And again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.